This is Kickin' and Streamin' Podcast, a binge watcher's guide to streaming movies, TV series, and stuff. Here are your hosts, Graham and Jocelyn.
And hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Kicking and Streaming Podcast. My name is Graham, and with me today, of course, is the absolutely fantastic Jojo, to whom, as usual, I will bow down and say hello, Jojo.
Hello, Graham. How you doing?
Jojo, I'm doing fine. Jojo, how are you doing? How was your week?
It was fine. It was
Uh,
quiet and all that good stuff. So yeah,
all that good stuff?
all that good stuff.
Hey, I love all that good stuff. I can't. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I love all that good stuff. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's been a week. I'm not gonna say it's been uneventful, but it's been certainly a good week. Um, and it's a week to discuss Wednesday. No other day of the week is worth discussing but Wednesday. What do you think? What do you say, Jojo?
Yes, and we're discussing Wednesday on Wednesday, so incredibly appropriate.
Isn't it? Well, welcome to you if you are watching us via YouTube, and also if you have stumbled upon this podcast for the first time on the different platforms. We are Kicking and Streaming, the original one. So what we do, Jocelyn and I, we watch a series that are exclusively streaming, regardless of the platform, and then we will tell you what we think about it and what reasons we think you should watch it or not. Of course, we are not professional critics or anything like that, but we will shit on what we don't like and we will gloat about the things we like. And it
Yes,
isn't
yes.
that what critics do anyway?
I think so. I don't know.
All right.
Works for me.
If it works for you, it works for me. So today we are discussing the series Wednesday, which is based on the Addams family, the elder daughter of the Adams. And it was surprising because for me, it was one of those things that I didn't know what to expect. And because I didn't know what to expect, I built no illusions or expectations that it was going to be a good series. However, I always was under the suspicion that why wouldn't it be a good series when it has the fantastic hands of Tim Burton on it? And I have to start by saying I wasn't disappointed. I am absolutely blown away by these. I have very few qualms with this show, and I am absolutely dying to hear what you have to say, Georgia. What did you think of Wednesday?
Oh, I have to say, I you basically took the words right out of my mouth. That's the way I felt too. I was surprised. I think I was not as what is the word? Pop culture influence to know how much of a influence Wednesday Adams is. I didn't really realize that she was as big of a thing as she is. Like I knew that, that there's been the Adams Family movies and that kind of thing, but and the original series, of course, but I did not know there was so much love for Wednesday. So with admitting that, I'm admitting yes, I'm old. Um, but yeah, so she is a fun character, and I think in the hands of Tim Burton, this is a fantastic series, and it's just it's great fun to watch.
I think it was extremely well done. I think
Hmm.
I do have some problems with the casting,
Hmm.
but we will go over that. But it has nothing to do with the young actor who plays Wednesday or anything like that. When we get to the casting, we will talk about it a little bit more. But other than that, for me, this series is it's done justice not only to the series of the Adams family, but also it is a fantastic through line to the past and what should be considered the future of the Adams, but looking l- very much longer into the future. And what I can see here is that for a series or a story that has been dormant forever since the Adams appeared The last iteration of it was made with Raul Julia uh, uh, and Angelica Houston and Christina Ricci back then. Um, for a series that was dormant, I see the creation of a universe, of a whole Adams universe right now, much in the same way that, you know, a lot of shows and series have been recreated and split with different stories from different bloodlines and different people. And so I can see that coming and I'm enjoying it. I can see a revival of more movies, of more series coming out, you know. So this to me, it's the beginning of a beautiful, beautiful friendship, if you will. And I'm entirely excited about it, Judge. What say you?
Yeah, I could see that too, and I think it's fantastic because I really wonder what the original writers of the series from the 60s, I think early 60s on TV, if they would have ever expected anything like this. For it to be as suddenly popular, repopular as it is, if they thought that, oh, in 20, 30, 40, 50 years, this is going to be, a cultural phenomena again in pop culture. So I would love to hear what they would have to say because I think that's fantastic. But yeah, I agree with you. I can see a whole bunch of spin-offs coming and a whole bunch of, as you said, the universe expanding. If you hear yelling in the background, that is my deaf dog. I don't know
Yeah,
what's wrong with him. He's fine in the set. There's no abuse or anything going on. I know it sounds horrible, but he's deaf and he sometimes gets lonely. So
he's just trying to figure out why he can't hear himself, I
that's
suppose.
probably it. I
I'm just
think.
like,
Yeah. So
I know that's noise that I'm making, but why I can't hear it, I don't know.
yes,
Well,
exactly. Meanwhile, my other two dogs are going, "Oh my god, shut the fuck up."
that's amazing. But yeah, Jojo, I mean, with the Adams, growing up in Latin America, the series of the Adams, which to by all account was already an old series, was in black and white, and it was one of those things that we enjoyed watching. But I remember in the Dominican Republic, in Spanish, the show is retitled Los Locos Adams. Instead of the Addams family, La Familia Adams, it was called Los Locos Adams, like a family of crazy people, uh, last name Adams. And that's what I always thought of them, for the longest time. Like, oh, it's just a bunch of crazy people, weird people that live in a mysterious house and blah, blah, blah. And until I started watching the series actually in English, it started to kind of make sense to me that the Adams were probably perfectly normal, in a world of people who thought of themselves as normal and them as weird. And so I started taking a completely different perspective of the Adams. And then in the 90s, the movie came out, with Raul Julia, which I think it was one of the last things he did. And you know, I'm not gonna lie and say that it was the first time I was seeing a Latino in such a prominent role. Blah blah blah. That wasn't the case at all. I mean, in the '90s, eh, Latinos were stepping into some really really huge light in terms of protagonism in Hollywood with the arrival of Antonio Banderas and blah blah blah. So, but the thing is, I felt like Raul Julia was perfect to play Gomez Adams. Like perfect, perfect. Such a refined um performance
Mhm.
and a sense of belonging. He belonged there. His presence was he was Gomez Adams. And that blew my mind. That's when I actually fell in love with this entire story. And so I cannot tell you how excited I am that this has been remade. And later on, you will know why. And hence, I do have a problem with the casting of Luis Guzman here. But let's talk about this show for a moment. Before we do that, let's listen to you, sort of like breaking it down for folks. Like, what is this show about, Jojo?
I'll do my best. So this is, of course, as if you've been paying attention, it's based on the character of Wednesday Addams, who is from older TV series and movies. This is a creation of Tim Burton's, and this is a kind of a expansion of her story. Not really a retelling, I don't think, but an expansion of what is going on with Wednesday, the young daughter of the family. And so it's gonna be it's part of her time as a student when she's trying to master some of her supernatural abilities and also work on a past mystery that happened to her family. So yeah, you got lots of fun dark elements in the series, some great performances, some really cool visuals, and it's a fun series.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing one has to say is that you can see. I think Tim Burton has his own filter. you know,
Yes, I
to,
know it.
to
Yeah, it's like he's got it trademarked. He's like, "Oh,
man,
now before we start filming, I slap these things in the camera."
yes, yes, and there's a color palette
Yes.
in everything that Tim Burton touches, and for some reason, the entire time I was expecting a Helena Bonham Carter to pop up somewhere. I'm serious, man. I'm
Because
like,
she typically does. If Tim Burton does it at some point, we're gonna see her. So yeah, and color palette exactly, just like uh oh gosh, I had the name and it went away, but Wes Anderson.
yes,
You can
yes,
see a Wes Anderson film almost immediately by the color palette. And occasionally
yeah,
you'll walk into like an old school doctor's office or something and be like, "Oh my god, I'm in a Wes Anderson film."
absolutely. And here's the crazy thing: out of eight chapters or episodes, I think he directed three of them. But the other five that he left on the hands of other directors, nothing changed. Again, his touch was always there, and the storytelling style is just an amazing thing. It's such a signature thing. You know, I don't know that it could have been such a beautifully made thing if his hands were on this, because like I said, when when I heard that Wednesday was coming out, I thought, somebody's looking to revive something and maybe create, uh you know that's what you do these days, right? Make a
Right.
universe out of something old, and like Marvel has done, like DC has done, and why not, you, you know create an entire franchise. But this is really well thought, well done. And again, the storytelling here is something to be reckoned with. I am absolutely positive about that one.
Yeah, agreed.
So, Nevermore, the insight we get into Nevermore is, for me, what this show is all about, right? Because not only does it give you an insight of um, why there is a Nevermore and what's the purpose behind Nevermore, but it also gives you an insight of again a through line to to the origin of the Adams. And it's amazing that the story is about Wednesday, but yet it takes you back to kind of like make you figure out and understand where the Adams come from, and why it is important to understand this family, and what, again, the story behind Nevermore is all about. And it takes a turn where it doesn't get really preachy, but it sort of tells you a little bit of um, how cyclical hatred is.
Mm,
You know, hatred and bigotry is cyclical. I always hate it when people say nowadays this, and that. It is a new thing now. People boom, and things are changing. No, it's not a question of things are changing. It's just like hatred has a lot of faces,
Yes.
but it's cyclical. There's always somebody somewhere within an epoch trying to pin the blame on somebody else. There's always someone making another group of people looking like they are the bad guys. There's always someone who's trying to gain power by making others, by otherizing others. That is as simple as that. And
Yes.
so hatred is cyclical. And when you just have to stop for a moment and think about, why is there someone who seems to have a vested interest in making me believe that these people are bad, that these people are culpable for everything that has ever gone wrong? And then you'll figure out for yourself. This is how you get to the truth about history, the truth about, the whitewashed version of history will always demonize a group of people who in reality have never had that much power.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
It's as
completely
simple as
true.
that.
It's completely true. Because I mean, if they had power, they wouldn't be. You wouldn't be picking on them, right?
They would have
It
won.
would.
They would have
Right.
won because
Exactly.
victory
Exactly.
belongs to he who tells the story, who tells the story, right?
Yes. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
So
I.
if these people were that powerful, if
Yes.
they were that venomous, if they were that evil, they probably would have won.
Yeah, they would have wiped you off the face of the earth. So
Yeah.
that's the other thing too that is just is fun. There. So you're talking about this, and it calls to mind something we started talking about before we started recording. But in France, and I just learned this, and it's really fascinating to me. But in France, there is, and I'm sure you know all about it. But in France, there's this group of people that have been and were hated throughout history, and I can't remember the name, but they were just despised, completely 100% despised. And they, if you came from that area of France, you were shunned. If you, and they were made to wear certain types of clothing so people would know who they were, and all kinds of things. And
Are we talking about the
basically,
Romans?
no, no, it's even weirder than that.
Yeah,
So this
they're
is
like they're like treated sort of like viewed as the gypsies of.
sort of, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but like history could never explain why the
Hmm.
French hated these folks so much. And with DNA testing recently, they did DNA testing because they were like, these people, again, these people must have come from somewhere else. They're not actually French. There must be some reason for this hatred and prejudice that's been going on for centuries and centuries. And their genetic profile is exactly the same as um, all the other French folks.
Right.
So, with the exception of perhaps a little bit of inbreeding, because it was very discouraged for anybody to marry within these people that wasn't one of them, that kind of thing.
Right.
But that's just what it was like. They were like, okay, the people from this village suck.
Exactly.
And that's
It
the
just
only
started
that's
like that, right?
there's just they suck, and that was it. And there's absolutely no difference. Like culturally, they don't really have any differences other than what was pressed upon them by the other French people. From French, they speak the same language. It was just suddenly like, you all suck. You come from this one area, so you
Yeah.
suck. And that's completely fascinating to me because hatred is it comes about in so many different ways. And the fact that there's genuinely, not that there is ever a good reason for hatred, that's not what I'm saying, but it is as simple as being able to say, these people over here are different from us, they are others, and I say so, so that means they are. And we're going to hate them for centuries.
Yes, yes, that's exactly the way it goes, and it always happens. Because the ones that come after, the first thing they learn is do not
Yeah,
question this.
don't question it.
Don't
Just hate
question.
them.
No, 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 no. We hate these people. You're not to mix up with them, and you're not going to question why.
Hmm.
Do not ask questions. Now, beware, always beware of anyone who tells you, don't ask me why, just do this. There is no good reason anyone is telling you, don't ask me why, but do this, right? And
Agreed.
so, it, one of the things that we notice, I personally notice in this series also, is whose personality each child takes after. And while Motisha is the one that we view as the morbid one. I mean, with a name like Morticia, right? It is the morbid one. She must be. And remember, we've always talked about the world's penchant to always blame the woman,
Oh
you
yes,
know.
yes,
And
yes.
so, if there's a witch among the Adams, if there is a bad one, if there's the one that will suck you blood, it has to be the female, right? Like,
Right.
why not Morticia, right? Meanwhile, the real fucked up one is Gomez, because Gomez is who made Wednesday, and it all comes out to light. But is actually like a sweetheart, much in the same way. Fester is Fester is just scary looking, but he is a big ball of fire, you know.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it's a beautiful thing to see. It's a beautiful thing to watch, and I think I'm ready for more of this.
Yeah.
I know there's more to come, and I'm going to be watching. Hopefully it doesn't take more than 4 or 5 seasons, otherwise it gets a bit tiring. But yeah, at
It's
at
Netflix,
one
so
at
it'll
some
it'll be
point,
like three.
yeah, at some point this girl's gonna be too old to be playing a 16-year-old teenager or whatever. But you know, um, I'm ready for more. I don't know what you say.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I want to see the follow the adventures of Wednesday and see where she takes us.
And I like the fact that they included Christina Ricci in this, but they didn't make it all about her.
Hmm.
Um, she was just another character,
Hmm.
in so much so that I didn't think her character was consequential until the moment that it became consequential. That to me was also a fantastic thing. It was it was not so much about the Adams, but it was all about the Adams. It was not so much about Wednesday, but it was it seems like the series took its time to explain to you a lot of things that you needed to know, but it didn't make one particular thing about someone else. I don't know if I'm even making sense. When it needed to tell you where Wednesday was going and why Wednesday was going there, it also always gave you a through line without over explaining.
Yes.
And that to me is the smart storytelling that we always talk about when the series feels like the writers feel like they have to baby feed you everything because you're too dumb to understand, as opposed to just give you a through line and just leave it to you to interpret. That's annoying. But this series does that perfectly, perfectly all the time. You're like, oh, so this is what happened. So you get to explain it to yourself and then move on to the next scene. I like that. I'll take that any day.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not interested in watching something that's going to talk down to me or be condescending and assume that I can't figure out the simplest plot point. Give me the pieces and let me figure it out. And yeah, so it's fantastic to see that. It's good to watch a show that respects your intelligence.
Yes, yes. Let's just let's just move on because damn it, you've told me enough. I can figure the rest of it for myself.
Right.
Let's talk about the cast, because again, when if we go any further talking about the show, we probably will give a lot of it away, and we
True.
don't want to do that.
True.
Um, but there is not a lot of criticizing to do about this show. I'm going to go over the cast,
Hmm.
and I know that when Jenna Ortega was cast for to play Wednesday Adam, there was an outcry, you know, like racists always do, wow, blah, 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 from Christina Ricci to a little Hispanic girl, whatever. Can I give me just a moment, Jojo? Because there's a ray of sun here that is like really bothering the hell out of me.
I see it. It's kind of like trying to cut your face in half.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Sorry, folks. Hold on just a moment, Jojo.
Yep.
I'm back, right?
You're back.
Yes, that's better. That's better. So, so yeah, so when Jenna Ortega was cast, there was a lot of talk about, you know, for me, that's always a bunch of nonsense. A bunch of nonsense in the sense that if people who don't understand fiction are the only ones who think that a character always has to have some sort of physical characteristic or of a racial type. I don't know that writers write any character thinking this character is going to be white as day. And she's going to be of the bloodline of blah blah blah. Of course, some characters are written like that, but it depends. Obviously, depending on the story that is being told. But much in the same way as any art form, everything is subject to interpretation,
Yes.
right? And so it's not in black and white, and there's no reason to be creating all kind of hell because somebody of a certain race is cast to play a character of a certain kind. Because again, there is no telling as to whether or not the Adams aren't a Spanish speaking family.
Yeah.
Because Gomez Adams, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
Yeah,
Gomez Adams.
I'll be honest. I always thought of the Addams family as being a Spanish speaking family. I don't know why. It was just that was what I always thought. Or maybe because of Raul Julia. I was deeply confused by the people who were like, "Why is this little brown girl playing Wednesday Addams?" I'm like, "What the hell?
Right, and then
What is wrong with you people? Y'all need
yes,
hobbies. Y'all need hobbies."
exactly. Get a fucking life. Get a life. But yeah, it was weird. But the crazy thing is, Jenna Ortega was born to play this character, and
She's
she
fantastic.
is absolutely fantastic in it. It's just like I have no complaint. This little girl is great as Wednesday Adams. I love her. She Her sarcasm, sometimes reminds me of JoJo. She will say some things and do a face, and I'm like, yeah, that's JoJo right there, man. Really good, man. You didn't see yourself a little bit in there, JoJo?
uh, no, but then I never see myself in anything. So,
Okay. All right. You need to watch some stuff with my wife because my wife is always finding you in a lot of things. Like, yeah,
I love it. That's
yeah,
fantastic.
no, she's like Jocelyn, and I'm like, really? Yeah, no, no. And I'm like, oh, I guess yes. you know. Um. So yeah. Christina Ricci as Marilyn Thornhill, uh, also great. Like I said, she was in there, but she wasn't trying to steal anybody's thunder. Her character wasn't created for her to steal anyone's thunder either. Um, and she was fantastic.
Hmm.
You know, what did you think of Catherine Zeta-Jones as Morticia Adams?
I don't. I don't know. I don't know. I love Catherine Zeta-Jones. I do. I think she's very. I mean, I remember the first time I saw her way back in the '90s, and I thought she was like the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen in my life. And she was in some little masterpiece theater production of, I think, Test of the D'Urbervilles or something like that. But um, I don't know. I something didn't land exactly perfect for me. But I don't know how you felt.
So I think for me it was a bit weird in the sense that I like that she was cast as Morticia, but she wasn't playing um Angelica Houston, but her own version of Morticia Adams.
That's true. That's
She
true.
wasn't trying to recreate Angelica
That is
Houston's version.
that's completely true.
And for a moment it was believable to me, but also in a weird way, in the sense that she didn't seem to be related to the character of Wednesday Adams, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Like she had moments with the character, um and I like that, especially the second time when they came for parents weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I thought those moments were beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
but in the beginning I didn't feel like they were connected. I didn't feel like I don't know, it didn't quite work for me. That second time though, I kind of believed it. I kind of saw it. I'm like, this is better. You know.
Yeah, it kind of like took a while for the chemistry to mesh. Or yeah.
Now here's my biggest problem: is the casting of Luis Guzman as Gomez Adams. My problem is I have no problem with Luis Guzman. Luis Guzman is a fantastic actor. God knows he's been around for years, and he deserves everything he gets. And I know that I shouldn't compare in terms of performance what one actor does with a character and what the other does. The thing is, when you've seen Raul Julia's Gomez Adams, it was again a very refined, gentlemanly portrayal. It was There was a seniority to Julia's Gomez Adams. There was a professorial tone to it, whereas Luis Guzman's Gomez Adams was just looked like a daily laborer who fucking came into some money. It was like a New York construction worker dressed in a mobster pinstripe suit. I did not like it. Um, and I'm sorry, I don't want to sound like a douchebag, but I don't know. I don't know if I was the only one who had a problem with that, but that's how I felt. I don't know. What do you think, George?
I so yeah, much like you, and I just I always loved Raul Julia and anything that he ever did, and he always elevated anything that he was in, even if it was a crap movie, he would be great in it.
Yeah.
And I remember when he died, just being so sad because I was like, he had so many wonderful things
Yes.
ahead of him, and it was too sudden and too soon. But see, that's I agree with you because I thought of the character as being the way he portrayed the
Yes.
character. And I believe it's the sort of the similar in the television series as well. That he's sort
Yes.
of a sophisticated, sort of, maybe a little goofy or funny, but not like, I don't know. I when I saw the trailer, I couldn't figure out who Louis Guzman was playing.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize that was going to be, obviously I realized it, but like when I first saw it, I was like, oh, I wonder who that is. And then I was like, oh, he's,
Okay.
he's
It's
playing
Gomez.
Gomez. Okay. It just didn't, I agree. It didn't work for me either. And that's nothing against him at all. I just feel like it was sort of a miscast.
Yeah.
Um, I just couldn't get over it. Now, maybe if you've never seen any of the other iterations, maybe it works perfectly.
Right. Of course. Yeah.
Maybe we're prejudiced about it from having
Yes.
seen this. So I'd love to hear from somebody who's never seen the other ones and who was like, "What are you talking about? This guy was fabulous." Um, so that's just my takeaway from it. But yeah, I agree. I had difficulty seeing him as Gomez.
Yeah, it's so, and I know that whenever I propose this this disagreement with a caster, you always end up asking me, well, who would you have cast?
Yes.
And I'm not saying this because he is also of Puerto Rican descent, much like Luis Guzman is, but I think I would have cast Benicio del Toro for this.
Oh yeah.
It's the actor that comes to mind for me. Benicio del Toro um would probably
Yeah.
have done better with this character.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're listening, if you're watching, and you think of someone else, just throw it in there. But my pick would have been Benicio del Toro. I think that would have been a better casting for this one.
Yeah. Yeah. He's got that sort of
Yeah.
extra smolder.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sort of like the yeah. Yeah, I agree.
The flair, the
Yeah.
debonairism, whatever you call it, he
Mhm.
had it.
Yeah.
So yeah. Gwendolyn Christie as Larissa Williams. Uh, Either everybody in the world is short or Gwendolyn Christie is a really tall ass woman. Like
She is a very
seriously,
tall lady.
man, she is towering over anyone she is in front of in the series. I didn't even realize how tall she was during Game of Thrones, during what that last show that we saw her on playing Lucifer.
Yeah.
Mate, she is literally towering everyone on the show. Everybody looks short in front of her. Everyone looked short in front of her. And she was great. Like the way she kept so mysterious in the show that you could never tell on whose side she is, whether she was good or bad. It's a great job, man. Like it's like to stay suspicious like that for the duration of a show. Like no one could ever guess you. That to me, that was a great acting here. And this character was written perfectly, and I'm glad that she was cast in it.
Yeah. I have kind of a soft spot for her. She's really interesting to me as an actress. She's 6'3". That's how tall she is.
Man,
Um,
yes.
she
6'3". Jesus.
just everything she's in. She's I don't know. I just have a soft spot for her. I'm happy when she's on screen, even if she's not doing good things.
Man, she brings some class to stuff that you like,
Yeah.
wow, okay.
Yeah.
Everything she does, there's an extra class added to it that you'd be like, yeah, I'll buy that. You know, what do you think of Isaac Ordonez as Pugsley Adams?
Yeah, he was fantastic. He
He sold it, man. He sold
he
it.
really did.
He
He's
sold it, man. He
fantastic.
sold it. You.
Yeah, he's just a cute little kid, and
He's like, I
he's
know you touched me. You're my sister and you touched me, but I kind of like you. So Yeah,
Yes.
we're cool.
Yeah. Yep. Like classic little brother.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but
Uh,
he yeah.
Emma Myers as Enid Sinclair. I kept thinking, where have I seen this kid? She looks awfully familiar to me, and I've kept revising series in my head that I've seen her in, and she has a very familiar little face. Emma Myers as Enid Sinclair. Um, and I kept asking myself also, who is Lurch? That dude was great. He never spoke
That's
or
great.
anything, but he was great. Huh?
I
He's Romanian.
I've always liked the character of Lurch, so it's fun to see.
It doesn't look like he needed a lot of makeup either.
No, he doesn't.
His name is George Bursey. Huh? Borcea, as they would call him in Romanian. Yeah, and he was great. For a silent character, he was great. Like whenever he stood there, like, hey, that's my guy, my guy. Um, what did you think of Fred Armisen as Fester?
I I don't know.
I'm gonna come out right here and tell you, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. Do you know why I didn't like it? Because Fred Armisen, yeah, he did look like Fester to a certain extent, but it always felt like Fred Armisen was on SNL playing Fester Adams, and not necessarily playing
Yeah.
Fester Adams in the series.
Yeah. Yeah. I
It,
agree
it
with
it
you.
it felt like a sketch character,
Yeah.
and not the character delivered for the series. And
Yeah.
so I didn't like it. I couldn't wrap my head around it. And it's not because it was Fred Armisen. It was because Fred Armisen was bad acting on this one. That's all I can tell you. It just felt like he was playing a sketch character.
I I like Fred Armisen, but every so often I feel like he does that, or it comes
Yes.
off that way for me. Like every so often he'll be great, and then every so often he'll just it never lands quite
Mm-hmm.
right.
Yep.
It's just as you said, it's like he's doing a sketch. That's a perfect analogy. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Um, physically, I guess he was good there, but I just don't think the performance, as you said, was quite up to par.
Yeah. I couldn't. I couldn't get there.
Yeah.
Um, One of the characters that was very suspicious to me, which turned out I was like really, really mad wrong about it, was Dr. Kinbutt, played by Ricky Lindholm.
Hmm.
I I, I believed it. I was like, it's either her or the Christina Ricci character, which I think I was more suspicious of the Christina Ricci character because she was like, kind of like too good to be true kind of shit.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
every time she had something uplifting to say, I'm like, no, you're too good. Fuck off.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, yeah, that was good, man. That was awesome.
Yeah. I like Ricky Lindholm as anyway. She's
Yeah.
she can be really really good.
Jane, she's good on those characters too, like counselors and you know people who help out or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, she's funny when it's been a long time ago now, but um Garfunkel and Oates when she was
yes,
with her comedy
yeah,
duo what is it? I can't remember the girl's first name, but I know her last name is Makuchi. So,
yes, I know who you're talking about.
yeah,
She's
they're
this
a good team.
weird looking Italian girl with the big
Yes.
eyes, and she's really good at playing odd characters too.
Yes, she's fantastic.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
What do you think of Joy Sunday? Joy Sunday, she pops up in shows like that a lot. This girl, she has these because like I could swear, wasn't she on the Sabrina Adventures too? She played a character.
Um,
Well, you never watched it, did you?
I
The
didn't
Teenage
watch that.
Witch.
I didn't watch that one, so I don't know.
I I think I always see her in those mystic, you know, kind of like witchy characters and stuff, and she's very good playing them. Um, that's what I think I think I've seen her in something like that, either Sabrina or something. But she's a good little actress. She comes up wherever she pops up, you can expect her to deliver. Her
Yeah,
performance here wasn't bad at all.
yeah, agreed, agreed.
She's a Fiorello LaGuardia uh, graduate, and she's of Nigerian descent. Um, Musa Mustafa as Eugene Oettinger. I love this kid, man. With his bees and shit. Like, what kind of nerd shit is this? Like, seriously, out of everything, you're the big guy. You know, the guy that seems like he should stay away. This is one of those kids that look like he's allergic to everything. Believe me,
Yes,
I was
yes.
that kind of kid. I was the kid that couldn't go, like, I couldn't go outside barefoot. I couldn't play alone outside, depending on what side the sun was fucking shining or whatever. Like, I was that damn kid, man. I,
Yeah,
I I was pigeon toed. I had to wear boots and shit. I would fall off my feet all the time. That kid, Eugene Ottinger, was that kid, man. And I was like, why is he into bees, man? Bees would kill a kid like that.
just living on the edge.
Yes, yes.
Oh, it's
That was
yeah,
fantastic.
yeah. He was great, and just yeah, it was a great performance.
Yeah, it was good, man. It was good. What do you think of this dude that ended up in Hunter Doohan? Tyler. This kid reminds me of a young Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon.
Mm,
He's got that nose, that face.
yeah,
You know that Kevin Bacon has like that pig nose kind of shit that
yeah,
some humans have.
yeah. He has that very particular kind of facial structure, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I can completely see that. Maybe
So
he'll play him in a biopic.
yeah, maybe if there's any biopic, big story to tell about Kevin Bacon, well, I guess losing all his money to Bernie Madoff
Yeah,
could be
there's
a good
that.
story
The
to
whole
tell.
whole
Uh,
six
uh,
degrees of seven bacon or 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon thing too. So
yeah, there's that. All right. It's been fun talking about this show, and again, I was I was going to watch it, but I didn't have a lot of expectations, even though I knew that Tim Burton wasn't gonna do a bad job. But I wasn't expecting it to be spectacular. I
Mhm.
think it was great. I think it was fantastic. I can't wait for the next few seasons. And like I said, I can see an entire expansion of the Adams universe, if there is such a thing. But if there isn't, that's my idea. What are your last
Checks
words on
out
this one,
too.
Judge? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I think if you watch this, you will not be disappointed. I think it's thoroughly enjoyable. And I would love to hear from somebody who has not seen anything previously. And none of the movies or the other series. And I would love to see somebody's opinion coming into it with no prejudices and no pre expectations or anything.
Yeah. We've had a lot to say because, of course, we clearly are fans and are very think very highly of at least the movie from the 90s. And so we, in some cases, we have been able to take off the blindfold and see things for what they are. But in some cases, we still have trouble, putting one character next to each other. That's the way it is. So, of course, if you've got an opinion and you would like to say something, we invite you to say it through our website, kickingandstreamingpodcast.com. You can just hit the little microphone and record a voice note. Also, you can comment on our YouTube YouTube channel, but also on whatever app that you listen to, kickingandstreamingpodcast.com, Kicking and Streaming Podcast. You can also make a comment. We'll read it and we will answer anything you've got to say, right?
Yep.
You can find Jojo on social media. The only one Jojo will be found at is Instagram.
Yes.
And tell
KNS
folks how to
co-host.
find you.
I'm KNS co-host.
That's it.
Mhm.
KNS co-host. And I am Mr. Putzetta. That's MRPUZZETTA. And you will find us also on Twitter and on Instagram. We are going to call it a day. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And we'll be back. This episode comes out as a podcast on Thursday. We've been live on YouTube. If you just found our show, just give us a like, hit that bell so that whenever we go live again, you can hear what we have to say. Next week,
Yes.
we'll have another series for you. Thank you very much. You've been great. And for me, for Jojo, this is goodbye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for listening to Kicking and Streaming Podcast. If you found value in our content, please subscribe and share. We would also be delighted to hear what you think of this podcast. So please rate us by writing a quick review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on all major social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. Join the conversation happening today on our Facebook group.